Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias, brought to you by the Cat Production Team.
This is some pretty cool stuff. I went to a pawn shop over the weekend, and I saw this knife sitting there, and it looked really familiar, but I wasn't really sure. And I saw it in the box, and it's like, man, he's only asking $4 for that. Could it really be it? And I took it out, and I took a close look at it, and I looked for any marks on it, and there were absolutely no marks on it. It's like, it looks very much like it. I got to take it home. So I went ahead and bought it for $4. Just wasn't sure. And as soon as I got home, it's like, well, let's go to Pederson's Knives of the OSS and check it out. And sure enough, right there in Appendix A, figure A41, the OSS Pocket Knife Model A1, 1943. And this thing was a spitting image to it. Before I go into a closer look at the knife, let me go over what the Model A1 1943 was for the OSS. Basically, in 1942, the OSS came out with specifications for a knife that they were going to give their agents that were basically parachuting behind lines in France. And it needed to be a simple knife which would not draw attention of the enemy, but with a blade which could bring a lethal puncture to the back of the neck or inner thigh. And this knife, at first glance, does not look like it could do that. It needed to have a non-locking blade, a wood handle, and a slight point, but non-aggressive in appearance. And if you look closely, it does have a slight point, and you can actually puncture with it. I didn't think so at first, but you actually can. The blade was supposed to be a carbon blade between 3 and 4 inches in length. I'm not sure why they specified carbon, but they did. And it needed to be capable of cutting a throat with a draw cut. And so basically pulling the blade backwards across the neck in order to do that. And it also specified, and this is the part I wasn't sure of, no manufacturing marks or country of origin should be displayed on the knife, and it should have a brass cap capable of cracking a skull. So this went to several knife companies, but the first one to come up with the design was the chief knife designer at Camillus by the name of Emil Asinus. And he designated his model the PK16. And he presented it to Section 4 Weapons Procurement at for the OSS at the beginning of April 1943, and it was rushed immediately into production. I guess they were just looking for just about anything, because this thing, I mean, it's just a pocket knife. Come on. But when it was produced, the OSS gave it the number of Model A1 1943. Obviously, it doesn't say that anywhere on the knife. And the first letter is standing for the month of acceptance, and then the number being the number of the knife. So it's their Model 1 knife, but it's an A1 because it was accepted in April. And that was the first acceptance of a knife by the OSS. This is the first knife officially accepted by the OSS. All total, 1,681 were produced during the war, but only the first 41 had the brass fittings. So only the first 41 have the brass cap at the top. After that, they switched over to carbon steel. The entire production was carbon steel because of the shortage of brass. So what this is one of the first 41 OSS knives ever made. And I mean, look at it. It's got the same 4 pins going on there. It's got a brass cap, a single pin in the back. Look how thick that carbon steel liner is. And yeah, the blade tip, you can actually puncture with it. It doesn't look it at first, but if you saw it like that, you would say, yeah, that looks like a skinning blade. Yeah, but this way, you first think of it as just a like a sheep foot blade, like a gardening blade. But if you notice, the tip just barely turns up, and you get that very sharp point at the tip. And if you notice, there's also a swedge going on there to also make this even pointier. So that's what they did, and I just couldn't believe it. You know, I really want to go back to the pawn shop and show him the Pederson's knives of the OSS and say, dude, look at what you sold me for $4, and just laugh in his face. But that wouldn't be nice. Not to mention, if he ever comes up with something else that's really cool, he probably wouldn't sell it to me. So there you have it, though. The Emil Asinus model number A1 1943 OSS Model 1 knife. Is that not cool or what?
Thanks for dropping by Knife Chats with Tobias. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know when the next episode is up and online.
Well, if you stuck around to the end, you probably know that this was an April Fool's joke. There's no such thing as a Model A1 1943, nor is there Pederson's knives of the OSS. I made it up.